Greetings to all of you.
Sorry.
In case you're wondering, Gail is eating.
Pickles
This time it is dill pickles.
Mm-hmm. I blame this farmer's market that we found when Evangeline was in tennis camp. They had like these amazing pickles. And I ate all of them, but I'm too lazy to go all the way back down there because it's in Lower Manhattan. So I keep trying other pickles.
Yeah. Substitute pickles.
Yeah.
But we found some good ones.
I found some good ones. So I'm sorry, you talk. I'm going to eat this pickle.
Yeah. So just to describe what you should be grateful you're not watching right now, by the way, is Gail is eating, these are dill pickle spears. We're not talking about the chips, the little round things.
You don't care about the pickles?
These are like, well, we brought up the pickles. We may as well describe it. Anyway, these are farmer's market dill pickle spears, kind of like you take a whole pickle and you quarter it.
In the brine is like stalks of dill.
Yeah.
And bay leaves and garlic cloves. If you like pickles, they're delicious.
Who knew that we'd have to come all the way to New York City to get such delicious pickles?
There's probably good pickles elsewhere.
Would you say these are the best pickles you've ever had?
Those farmers market ones, they're up there.
There you go. High praise from people who enjoy pickles. Mm-hmm. But speaking of things we enjoy, we wanted to talk a little about, since we don't get to see all of you, much, or we still get to communicate a little bit, but we just want to share some of our adventures that we've had, some of the things we've done, places we visited.
Yep.
We have a list of New York things that we're trying to see and do while we're here. And we've already gotten to several that people that live here are like, oh, I've been here 10 years and I've never done that. Like the Bronx Zoo. Mm-hmm. I had heard of the Bronx Zoo when I was a kid and just heard, you hear about zoos, Columbus Zoo, San Diego Zoo, whatever. But I'd heard about the Bronx Zoo and it is great. I took Evangeline there and it was a lot of fun. It's huge. Walk around.
I haven't done that one yet, but it's supposed to be awesome.
Gail was working away, slaving.
I was seeing animals, but on a whole different capacity.
Gotta make that skrill so we can pay our bills.
So y'all have done, and we're going to get Evangeline to talk about her favorite things, but y'all have done that, the aquarium, which you thought was good. I mean, not as good as Georgia Aquarium.
The aquarium was okay. I'd say, the New York Aquarium, it's at the southern part of Brooklyn, right by Coney Island. It's good, definitely not great, especially once you've been to the Atlanta Aquarium.
Georgia Aquarium,
the Georgia Aquarium.
But you liked the Science Museum.
The Science Museum is in Queens, and it was pretty great.
Yeah.
They had a cool bubble exhibit where you could make all different types of bubbles. We had tons of fun in there. We watched a really cool documentary in their little theater about this dude who went and lived in this Alaskan wilderness.
Evangeline still talks about that.
For like a year by himself. And there's not another human up there. It's just him videoing caribou. He was very interested in the caribou and kind of what a year in the life of caribou is like and these other animals. It was pretty incredible to watch up there. Anyway, that was part of our Science Museum trip to Queens, which was a lot of fun. So I highly recommend the Queens Science Museum if you're up here looking for science museums. If you're a world traveler who only is interested in science museums.
Which, believe it or not, we've pretty much visited a science museum in almost every city we have visited. We have been to a lot of science museums.
No one who knows us, to their complete unsurprise, we visit lots of science museums. And this one in Queens is good.
The recommendation from Jason is solid. It's solid.
It is. It means something.
It does.
That's right. Best science museum we've been to. My favorite is in San Francisco.
The Exploratorium. I mean, don't go to San Fran because go to San Fran, but the Exploratorium is amazing. Yeah, no, it's a mess out there right now. You don't want those problems. But if it does get better, helicopter right to the Exploratorium or take a boat through the bay because it's on a pier. Yeah, and they do have the fog bridge. You might be able to sneak in the fog. Yes, if you can get there, maybe fly into Alcatraz and kind of boat or swim or jet ski or whatever you need to do to get there. That would be a good idea. To the Exploratorium. We're digressing. Yeah, would not recommend walking through San Francisco or bike riding or so we've even done driving. Yeah, so we did the sports stuff. Yeah. Jason and I went to the Yankees. Very nice stadium. Been to Yankee Stadium, yeah. It's a rowdy crowd, but it's a fun game. Yes. Very exciting. Yeah, the Yankees they're doing well. Yeah. Good for them.
I can't bring myself to cheer for them.
No.
It's like any popular team.
You can't.
It's like how people in Michigan, generally all cheer for the University of Michigan.
Which one?
Or a lot of them do. And it's like, boo. When you cheer for the Pagans, you might be able to hear Hildy. She would like to be on the podcast, apparently,
I don't know what
as
she's
well.
upset about. Do you want to let her in?
I do not want to let her in. Do you think I should? Does she want to talk about things she's done here in New York?
Hildy's the star. Went to the Mets, which Jason has decided is our unofficial secondary team behind Detroit. I think it's because they have similar colors and don't do very well. But we've been to the Mets twice now, and those games are fun. And everybody tells us a little more family friendly, which I felt like generally. Nice stadium. For us, it's a longer ride out to the Mets. That's about an hour on public transport. Where the Yankee Stadium's what, like 15 minutes?
Yeah, where we live, we are just south of Yankee Stadium. I think when we looked it up, we could bike to Yankee Stadium in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. We don't.
We don't. Just for the record, we do not. But it's very close.
It's 2 train stops
to the Bronx, and the Mets playing Queens, kind of out by LaGuardia Airport, and that's by train. It's a little over an hour to get there. But again, the thing we keep telling people is you got to remember, an hour on the subway is not like an hour in a car.
No,
because you can listen to your music or read a book or work on handstands or whatever while you're in the subway.
Swings around and
Evangeline just makes her way up and down the subway car, getting in people's personal space. It's pretty impressive to watch, actually.
But that's been pretty fun. We've enjoyed doing that.
If you hear any tapping, it's Hildegard on the floor, just walking around doing her thing.
Right, Hildy.
After barking. But yeah, so we've been to a couple Mets games, been to Yankee Stadium, the aquarium, the Bronx Zoo was good.
I think we mentioned we've been to the Central Park Zoo.
Central Park Zoo is good.
Which, if you want to get a little zoo experience, but not have to travel all the way out to the Bronx Zoo, because that's a little bit of a hike, it's not bad. It's well done. The sea lions are my favorite, and the aviary is really cool too, like the tropical thing.
Yeah. The Central Park Zoo is nice. It's not nearly as good as the Bronx Zoo, but if you're looking for a good little zoo, and while you're in Central Park, Central
Park is really
beautiful.
Central
Park not say that. Central Park is everything it's cracked up to be.
It is everything it's cracked up. Yeah, like cracked up to be.
Yeah,
that was too hard to say.
Kind of an odd expression when you think about it.
It is, right? We'll look it up.
Either way, but it's good.
Last time.
Yeah, no, listen, I like sardines.
I was telling you to be cracked up.
I don't know. Did I tell you I had a dream last night?
Right?
I had a dream last night about somebody eating sardines on a pizza. And I agreed to try it because I used to eat sardines when I was a kid out of the can. And I don't know why this came up again. Oh, I know why. It's because when I was in Michigan visiting my family, talking with my nephew, Tim, who's mid-30s, we were talking about this, and he has eaten anchovies on his pizza. So then we started talking about if he would eat sardines, and I don't think he had eaten those.
Gross.
Anyway, I think that conversation stoked a dream in which I ate them on pizza. All of that is to say that Central Park is great. You can see the obvious connection between all of that.
It really is. And we have seen it winter, early spring, like when the cherry blossoms were starting to go, and then now in full summer. And it's been a different experience every time, just in terms of what it looks like. But amazing, like Central Park, it's like you turn a corner and you see something new, or you're like, oh my goodness. I mean, and obviously, we're newbies, so all the people, and we don't live close enough that we're in it all the time. But they've got it's super hilly, which you don't realize. And there's all these cool granite boulder formations that the kids like to walk all over and climb up. And there's 3 huge lakes, plus all these other little things. There's little tucked away playgrounds all over the place. And there's the boathouse. We've eaten at Tavern on the Green when we were here by ourselves.
Which, for those of you who don't know, like me, that is apparently a famous restaurant.
It's beautiful.
I discovered this on our first trip here. Gail cultured me and said, hey, this is a famous restaurant.
The Bethesda Fountain is beautiful. Literary Walk is beautiful. You have to see the Balto statue. There's a carousel. And then they've got all just these lawns where people you come by and people just have blankets out and are picnicking and they bring their dogs. And Central Park is great.
It is. Yeah, you hear about it and you see it it's in a lot of movies.
Yeah. Little food carts everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of a must do really thing if you're in New York City. Yeah, definitely.
And you could do it over and over again. Like, I don't even know how long it would take us to get our bearings.
Yeah. So Central Park is fantastic.
And it is so big that like literally, so our church, we live on the west side of Manhattan. Our church that we've been visiting is on the east side. So we have to take the train south and then we take a bus across because we could walk across Central Park, but it's a hike. That's how big it is. Like it's no Forsyth.
Speaking of hikes, do we want to talk a little about our hike across the Brooklyn Bridge? That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun too. So we did that this last Saturday.
Yeah, that we had to ride the subway pretty much all the way down to not quite the last stop in Manhattan, but pretty far down there.
Yeah.
14th Street or something like that. And then you get off and you kind of find your way to the Brooklyn Bridge. And if you're wondering, man, that'd be weird just to be the only person walking across the Brooklyn Bridge. Don't worry. There's no fear of that.
You can barely get across it.
Yeah. Tons of people.
And everybody taking pictures, which of course it's iconic.
Yeah.
So you got to weave around all the selfie people and everything. I mean, we of course participated in the selfies.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you have to.
But it's just a cool view, and the walking path. Evangeline was definitely a little unnerved because the walking path goes over the cars a bit. She thought that was a little weird.
Yeah, what I didn't expect, I thought it'd be like a sidewalk off on the side of the bridge.
Right.
But it's like a walking path right in the middle of the bridge, but it's elevated.
Yeah.
So you are walking over the cars, but not really over the cars because they're on either side of you. You're just in the middle of the bridge.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're suspended over the median.
Yeah, they clearly built the bridge with pedestrians in mind.
Well, it was the 1800s.
I know, like 1860s. It's a fair point. They had horses and buggies.
I have to say, of course, there were pedestrians.
That's a great point now that you mention it. No, I'm saying, but they built it with the pedestrian in mind, not just like horses and buggies getting across the way.
I'm sorry.
I can't redeem this, can I? No, I can't. Guess that's all they had back then.
But it is when you see these gigantic pillars in person and they built this in the 1860s. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think they finished in 1875. It's crazy.
I need to check a book out and see how this was created.
Yeah, the architecture is amazing.
Well, and what did they call it? They had remember, and then it was so funny. The next morning, the pastor at church was talking about the little thing, the submersibles they built when they were making the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, that was one of the questions we had was how do they put these?
How did they do the footings?
And
he said there were these submersibles they created with people going down to dig and with dynamite, and like no way would I do that job.
It's a complicated story.
Anyway,
but
they
did.
Got to get a book to check this out.
Yeah.
So the Brooklyn Bridge, the view was great, and it was even like a little misty and breezy, but it was fine. Like just to see everything and turn around and see the skyline, and then you end up in Brooklyn, obviously, because it's Brooklyn Bridge, but you end up in Dumbo, which is
no relation to the elephant we discovered.
Down under Manhattan Bridge overpass.
I like that.
But there's a waterfront and a carousel there, into carousels. And then there's a bunch of little food places and stuff. We didn't get to explore it too much because we didn't have time. But the Manhattan Bridge empties out right over there too. But it's pretty beautiful. And you can walk across and then just take the train back or an Uber or whatever. But
yeah. So that was our most recent adventure, was crossing the Brooklyn Bridge on foot, just like God intended and the builders of the bridge intended.
We didn't see any horses or buggies.
No horses and buggies, a few bicycles. But it's a really cool little thing to do. We did that. We have still not done, the number one thing in New York City is visiting the Statue of Liberty. Mm-hmm. We've not done that yet. It is on the list. It's more complicated than you think because you can either go to like the what they call it, the pedestal, whatever the statue's on, or you can go up into the crown.
Yeah.
But
there's different levels of touring.
Right. But you got to get tickets. It's like, and it's like a couple months out to get into that crown.
Well, if you want to get in the crown, yes.
Yeah. So the
base, you can get in pretty easily.
Waiting to do that. Oh, and we've gone to some museums.
We've done the Met.
Yeah.
Which is insane. We've only done one afternoon there, and I don't know how long it would take to see everything. But
so much stuff.
Like Van Gogh's self-portrait is there. There's Monet's. There's Washington crossing the Delaware. There's furniture. Like, it's nuts. It's massive. Suits of armor, like jewelry from like 2,000 years ago. Their collection's phenomenal.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Starry Night, the original?
No, that's MoMA.
Yeah, okay. So the other art museum we went to is the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, MoMA. Yeah. That is more in Midtown.
By Lincoln. Isn't that by Lincoln Center? That's the one?
It's by Times Square. That's farther south of us. And it does have more modern art, but it also had Starry Night. Which was pretty incredible. And
it was like 20 deep to even try to get up and see
bonkers to try to get a look at that thing. Which, were there some Van Goghs were there Van Goghs at both of them?
Yeah, because Starry Night is Van Gogh, but his self-portrait is at the Met.
I was trying to remember if all the other Van Goghs were there.
There were more Van Goghs at the Met.
Okay.
And then Monet's huge water lilies, the 3 huge canvases are at MoMA. And that was, I mean, it's crazy because they're huge canvases, like taller than I am, and got to be like, 8 or 10 feet wide each canvas. And if you get up close to it, it just looks like a mess. Like it's the way he painted. But when you stand back, you see it all. Like it's just, but you can't like see that in a print, if that makes sense. So that's what I feel like seeing the image in person is so powerful, because you're like, it's just beautiful, like to see how that was created. I don't know.
Hard to get a sense of scale from a print.
From a print.
For sure.
So seeing it, being able to, and there wasn't even glass over it. They have like a little physical barrier, but it only keeps you like maybe a foot back. So anyway, it was pretty amazing.
Access to that was easier than the other ones.
The New York Public Library, the main branch that, if you've ever seen the classic The Day After Tomorrow, that's where they hide out during the terrible winter storm. But we haven't actually been in the Rose Reading Room, which is a famous one because you have to actively be doing research to get in there, and they only do 1 tour a day. So we haven't done that yet. But they have this amazing collection of I don't even know what you call it, like, of all the stuff they have. Like, they have a Gutenberg Bible, but they also have like Charles Dickens writing desk and chair.
It's a hodgepodge of all sorts of things.
They have a scroll of Esther that's hundreds of years old. They had
pretty amazing.
The guy, like some Broadway producers, like was it Guys and Dolls or something? I don't know. It was like one of the 50s musicals.
Something like that.
Like hand-drawn set. They had the music that was done by Beethoven, like his handwritten notes on his music. Like just this room that has all these crazy things that you're like, oh, and George Washington's farewell address, handwritten, that he wrote himself. It's just on display there. Stuff
we did not expect at the library.
No, we went to just see all the architecture because it's beautiful. And they have this room of all this amazing, just some of their stuff. So that was pretty, that was a great one.
It was incredible. And all these places are places we need to go back to probably multiple times because there's so much to see there.
Yeah.
But the Gutenberg Bible, I mean, it's not like the first one, but it was it 1490? I mean, it was something crazy early.
Crazy.
And it's all in Latin and all not at all easy to read unless you read Latin. So
Cecilia was doing her best.
Yeah, we had Cecilia with us.
Miss Tucker, Miss Trout. She was doing her best.
Thanks to her Latin teacher. She was giving it the old college try.
But it's also written in that crazy handwriting.
Yeah, the font, the script itself was made it difficult to read, but it was amazing. So I spent a good deal of time trying to figure out which part of the Bible we were in because it's not labeled, with books and all that. But it was pretty interesting. Then they had another Bible there that had 4 languages on each page.
Oh, that was really
cool.
So,
one column of like Greek, one of Hebrew, one of a Latin, and I think maybe an English column.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Anyway, but it was just incredible, the amount of stuff they had there. So the museums have been awesome. The zoo is great. The baseball's been fun.
We've done Broadway.
Is there anything we've done that we were like, that wasn't good?
No, maybe. Maybe we've forgotten about it because we're doing stuff constantly. I don't know my list.
Maybe.
Oh, one of our favorite places too is Governor's Island.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that separately.
I don't care. It's fine. But that's another cool place too. Yeah.
There's a lot going on there and it's really interesting. We got some funny stories from that.
Yes.
We will come back to that.
I'm sure there's stuff we're forgetting, but we're playing tourists and really enjoying it. We're going to make a list and like rank things so when people come.
Yes.
Well, and we did also, there's a bunch of things we've done on our visits we had before we moved here too. Like we did Top of the Rock at Rockefeller. You and I went to the 9/11 Museum, which was phenomenal. Anybody who's remembers it occurring needs to go to the museum if they're here in New York, because it's phenomenal. One World, we've seen the monument.
The top of the Rockefeller Center.
Ooh, at night.
Maybe my favorite thing we've done. I just thought it's up there. That was incredible.
Yeah, and we went at night, so that was so cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But we would like to get Evangeline's perspective on some of this too. Yeah. She can fill you in on what have been some of her favorite parts. So we will do that.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. We have a special guest with us. None other than Evangeline, here to share some of her experience. So Evangeline, we're talking about some of the things we've done in New York City that we've enjoyed. If you had to pick out one or two things we've done that you really enjoyed, what would you say?
I would probably say I really like Times Square because of all the stuff it has. And I also really like going to like Governor's Island and the different parks and like.
What's your favorite store or place at Times Square?
Probably.
You can own it. There's good stuff.
Probably the Disney store.
Ooh, the Disney store. Upstairs or downstairs?
Both. And
what other store?
And the other store I would do
M&M.
Is probably N&M.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's not the one with a big piano you can play with your feet?
Yeah.
What is the store?
FAO Schwartz.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite one?
One of my favorites.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. Definitely the best toy store downtown. Undoubtedly. Probably the best store. I mean, M&M is good. There's no getting around that. I wouldn't mind being buried in a bathtub of M&Ms. Like, that's delicious.
You definitely could at that store. There's enough.
There are plenty of M&Ms to do that there. Every kind of M&M one could want, but FEO Shorts is the bomb.com, no doubt. FEO, FAO, BINGO, all the vowels.
You're weird.
Any vowel you want to stick in there. What does FAO stand for? Do we remember? Isn't that on a sign somewhere?
FAO Schwartz.
Is it a name? Actually, does anyone know the answer to that?
Fun and organized Schwartz.
Okay.
Frank and Otis Schwartz. Who knows?
Does anyone know?
I'm sure somebody knows.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, Evangeline, besides shopping at Times Square, what else have you enjoyed about some of the things we've done in New York?
It's hard. I would say going to some of my camps that you have signed me up for, and...
What about Governor's Island?
Oh, and Governor's Island. I really like that.
That one was fun. It had so much to offer.
Oh, yeah, it did.
We took the ferry. Yeah. What else do we do?
We went to the kids' junkyard.
Oh.
Or like playground junkyard.
You got to tell people about that because they won't believe it.
It's like this like junkyard, but they made all this like old junk and stuff into a playground for kids. And the really funnest part is they made this little stack with a platform, and then there's a big rope, and they made a zip line, and there's a little cushion that's on a real zip line that you sit on, and you push off and you go zooming down, and then you have to bring it back for the next person.
It's a great little play area on Governor's Island. You have to take a ferry over there. It was lots of fun. My favorite thing about that little play area is that when the kids go in, you have to sign a waiver as a grown-up because there's so much rusty old junk that tetanus is abounding all over the place. And they have two different entrances. The kids can either go in one entrance on the left, which they can bring their parents to play in, or they can go in the entrance on the right of this little junkyard.
Choose your own adventure.
Which says no parents allowed. So it's only kids allowed in there. So we don't actually know what went on in there.
Guess what side Evangeline picked? Tell them which side.
I picked the no grown-up side.
No grown-up side, yeah. So we had to sit out and just hope that she was okay.
I would sort of walk around and peer through the holes in the chain link that were all kind of blocked up to see what was going on.
Thankfully, a few times we just saw a little head of blonde hair zipping by on a zip line. True. So that was proof of life. That was good.
What about Slide Hill? Do you want to tell people about Slide Hill?
Slide Hill is
also on Governor's Island.
Is this it's kind of a big hill, but it has slides on it. It goes like there's a really little slide, then a medium small slide, then a medium slide, then a medium big slide, then a humongous slide.
How tall do you think the humongous slide is?
I don't know. How tall do you think, Mr. Scientist?
Good question. I did the conversion while we were there. Evangeline converted her gravitational potential energy into kinetic energy, accounting for friction. The height of the slide was approximately 37 feet.
I would have said like 50. So, okay. But wait, Evangeline, tell people how you get to the slides. Is there like an easy trail?
No, yeah. You have to climb you can choose to climb like a rock path or like some wooden beams that are laid out on the ground that you climb up to get to the slides.
Or the really steep hill with no handrail.
Really steep hill?
Yeah, off to the left, remember?
Huh?
Yeah. It's the dirt hill. It takes you to the very big slide.
Oh, yeah, that was hard.
What else did we see on Governor's Island? Remember the sheep?
Oh, yeah, we saw sheep.
What were the sheep doing?
They were eating up the whole world.
They were eating the whole world?
Yes.
Well, they didn't do a good job because here we are. Were they maybe eating plants?
Yes, they were eating plants in a pasture.
Yeah, so the sheep were there to help clear some of the land. They come to the island. They don't live there, right? They
were imported from like our goats that we have on our hill. Yeah, they come in and clear out the invasive plant species.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool little island.
Yeah, it's amazing, actually.
We really enjoyed it.
It should be on everyone's list.
If you've...
I don't know about the winter, but if you're here during warm months, we rode bikes around the island.
It's really cool because it has a really good view of the Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
Very good point.
Good food.
Oh, good food. It had very, 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 very good food.
And by that, we meant the pizza we got was pretty good and the ice cream. Pizza and ice cream are kind of our staples.
Yeah, it's true. They also have, it's really like a Gen Xers playground paradise because they've got the junkyard, they've got Slide Hill, and then they've got the crazy like beams and ropes that you can cross too. It's like the playground we grew up with, I feel like.
Yeah, limited supervision.
Correct.
Reasonable chance for injury.
Yes.
And no adults really watching anything.
Right.
Yeah. So I completely agree. It's a lot of fun.
It was fun.
We will definitely be going
back. Oh, and they
there.
have a hammock thing. Anyway, it's Governor's Island. It's up there.
They have, and what by my mom meant hammock thing was actually Hammock Grove.
Oh, nice. It has a title, Hammock Grove and all that. But it also has some sort of like warehouses and buildings that are pretty dilapidated, haven't been used in a while. So I thought the island might serve as a hideout for some sort of supervillain as well. It could function either way.
Also, like hardly any cars. How many cars did we see? Like 2?
Yeah, that's about it.
It's pretty much like bikes, scooters, feet.
Yeah.
No horses like Mackinac.
So Governor's Island, a lot of fun. It did give off Mackinac Island vibes if you've ever been to Mackinac Island up in northern Michigan.
Without the horses.
Without the, yeah.
Or the fudge.
Yeah. Mackinac Island's still superior, but pretty good.
And by the way, which of us has actually been to Mackinac Island?
for the listener, Evangeline is not raising her hand. She has not been to Mackinac Island. But we will go there someday. Don't worry about that. All right. Well, thank you, Evangeline, for telling us about some of your adventures. We'll have you back on again in the future.
My dad is very crazy.
One last parting word from Evangeline, as if anyone needed any other evidence of that, just for confirmation. Evangeline confirms it. All right. Thank you.